a better Nigeria? Is it a myth, or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Redro.
Hi, it's 4:30 in the beautiful city of Jos, and this is Answers with Dr. Redro. My name is Obi, and as usual, we have a wonderful panel here that seeks to clarify life issues. Please join me and welcome Dr. Redro.
Thank you, Obi. Good to see you again.
Yeah, and as usual, we have Matthew in the house.
Good evening, Obi.
And the one and only Ejiro.
Thank you very much, Obi.
Thank you so much, everybody. And for those of you listening to us, I think we're going to have a fantastic time today. Yeah, we're going to be discussing issues that are very relevant to us. Okay, specifically in the period we find ourselves in the current economic crunch, in the job crunch, and things like that. And that topic has been the quest for entrepreneurial intensity. In the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about the portrait of an entrepreneur. We've been talking about the lifestyle and the mentality of people who want to make a difference. If you want to join us, please use this number to join us: 081 44 56 9000. That's 081 44 56 9000. Send us a WhatsApp and we'll get back to you. All right, Dr. Redro, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Great.
Obi.
Yeah. We've been having a ball here.
Yeah. Let me take it from where your intro about where we are.
Yeah.
This week we had this news that inflation rate in Nigeria
Absolutely.
is 16.5, right? And that's the percent, and that's the worst in 11 years. Now we can't paint a more gory picture, how bad things have become, but there's always best of times and the worst of times. Yeah. And that's what this particular topic that we're talking about, is really trying to communicate to every listener out there, especially, the larger population of this country, which are the youths.
Absolutely.
Because they're the ones who are most affected by this. Yeah. When there are no salaries being paid to people who have jobs, when there are people are being laid off jobs, even in banks, then that is just maybe about leaving school. What's your hope? So this is a time to really, really begin to live from within. The challenge that we have right now creates an opportunity. It brings, a lot of excitement. So I would like to look at it not just because of in terms of the challenges, but we can make the challenges very exciting. So I want to call it, these are excitingly challenging times. And you really want to, begin to look to live life from within. What is it that's in there buried? What's my interest? What do I see when I go around? What actually elicits some sort of interest in me? What am I passionate about? And there's a program on CNN, From Passion to Portfolio. That's a wonderful program for people to watch, because people just turn their passion into an enterprise. Yeah. And the best thing you can do in life is to do what you enjoy, and it still pays you money. That's why those who really, really enjoy working are those who play. Musicians play. Sports people play, because they're doing what they are passionate about and they get paid for it. So that's the way I will look at it. Gory picture, inflation rate 16.5, worst in 11 years, but it creates opportunities in itself. If you don't have to buy something, then inflation doesn't really affect you. Why not create?
Yeah. While you talked about that inflation rate at 16.5%, I remember a speech I heard by the current GTB MD, who said that inflation had been 40% in the mid-90s in Abacha's time. Yeah, but people still made money.
Absolutely.
People still created new things. And he said, that it's not really about, the economy and the environment say some things, but what do you say? What do you do at that time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about some pictures that are created when we hear the word entrepreneurship. Adventure is one of them.
That's right.
And you painted this picture That is so interesting. You said entrepreneurs or adventurers are people who are flying a plane and making the plane while they are flying.
Yeah, they make the plane as they fly.
As they fly. You know?
Now, that talks of some level of excitement. You know, it's a very graphic picture of somebody who wants to be entrepreneurial. To be an entrepreneur, you are groundbreaking. You are going to where no one has ever been. You are going to uncharted territories. There's really no template. There's really no reference point. You are the one creating it. That's a very graphic way of looking at it. The guy has never really seen a plane before, but he believes that we should be able to travel in a more effective and in a faster way. So the only way, you know, to actually do that is to learn how to make the plane while flying it. That's not that somebody did that, but it is just the experience of an entrepreneur. Because to be entrepreneurial, you have to be adventurous, and it's not for lily-livered people.
Okay.
It's not for somebody who is just looking for an experience. It's somebody who has seen something within himself or herself, and he wants to see that thing, you know, become tangible.
All right.
Well, Dr. Reggie, what you've said now means that an entrepreneur needs to understand the need for partnership.
Okay.
Therefore means that he or she needs to find someone that complements whatever, you know, he wants to go into. Now, with the stories we've heard about failures in partnerships and the challenges involved, how do one find himself, you know, developing that relationship right now? For instance, I see the need for someone else to join me in my venture, and I go meet my mom to discuss it. You know, maybe we're just talking and then it comes up. Then you hear that refrain, people are wicked, you know, don't partner with anybody, do your thing yourself. But from what you're saying, it means we seriously need to understand the role of partnership in whatever we're doing.
Yeah,
so how do we...
Let me clarify that, because it comes in stages. It comes in stages. The adventurer, the entrepreneur, always believe you want to go it alone. It doesn't start with partnership.
Okay.
It's a good, because only him can see what he sees. But you see, it is along that line. It doesn't start with partnership.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't start with partnership. You in fact, you never believe you need a partner until you create something that's bigger than you. You know, until you create something that now creates room for others to have a role. It creates a role for others. You know, so partnering is not at the beginning of that journey.
Okay.
You believe that you can actually do something, you know, by yourself. But it is in that line, as you stay committed to that it creates a room for somebody to come and partner with you. But you see, an adventurer is very careful he's not even thinking of partnering with somebody, but it comes at certain stage, you know, in that journey. It has to be the right person. You know, it is the venture itself that creates room for others to come and make it better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really where the partnership thing comes in. Yeah.
So I'll just briefly say to our listeners that we talked about partnership briefly in our last episode.
Yeah.
If you want to get that episode, just get to our website, answerswithdrreju.com.
Yeah. And
Dr. Reju is DRREJU. Episode before now, we talked about partnership.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew, for that question. I guess what his question has brought out is the portrait of someone who gets things done.
Absolutely.
Somebody who starts a journey into where he doesn't know.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And what he does on that journey is walking into the darkness. You know, I think that's the kind of portrait that
absolutely
we have been painting here. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. You know, it never existed before.
Exactly.
So it's just going a way he has never been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has something in his mind he wants to achieve.
Yeah.
And so even things like partnership, right, may not be somebody who you're going with on the journey together. Just like you said, you can start out alone.
Absolutely. It might even be somebody too looking for something, you know, that he's also thinking about.
Okay.
Because birds of the same feather, right?
Yeah.
They sort of flock together. So like I said, that venture, it gets to a point where it becomes too big for this guy alone. You know, it needs to be refined, and we need the skill set of another person to take it to that new realm. You know, so that's the way it works. Adventurers at the beginning are loners. They're like eagles. They fly alone.
Dr. Reju, I'd like to just ask this question, because there seems to be a mentality around here that look to people for help. I mean, we need, and you talked about our communal nature last week, right? And one that says we always want to get help from people.
Yeah.
One other thing that happened this week was the Mandela's lecture series.
Yeah.
Where
I think it's the 14th.
The 14th lecture, where Bill Gates gave the keynote address, and he was talking about youth having to innovate, having to create new things. And in that, one of the statements of Mandela a long time ago came out saying that youth must take it upon themselves to get themselves as educated as possible so that they can solve the problems in the future. Now I want you to sort of give us a perspective. Here Mr. Mandela is saying that it is the responsibility of the youth to do their utmost to get the most education they can, all right, the most experience they can. But we live in a society where we sit down and we want to ask people for help. You know, sometimes we even say it is their duty to help us.
Like I said, that's a downside of our culture. We don't take responsibilities. There's always somebody who is responsible for our situation. Like, something happened, I don't know what they were talking about, maybe some natural disaster somewhere, and the refrain is, the government has not come to our aid. The government has not come to our aid. If the government is not coming to our aid, my parent that's not coming to my aid, it's my uncle that is not trying to help me. So it's a refrain. It's a narrative that we have bought into. But in that statement actually lies the future of this continent and by extension this nation. That it's problems that you see. It's a huge sign that the solution might really be inside of you. That statement says that it is the responsibility of the youths. You see, that's not to say that they are going to give these things to you on a platter. Right? Most of the time, history has shown that parents actually create problems for their children, for them to come and solve. When they get old or things like that. That's the reason why there's a man in the US, the city of Seattle is actually named after him. He put it so succinctly, the way elders should actually think, that we don't bequeath the world, life to our children. We actually borrowed it from them. So it must be returned to them with value. That is to address a particular problem that the older generation always leaves bigger problems for the coming ones. But you see, problems should bring out the best in us. Nobody ever become the best without some sort of challenge. So we need to learn that the solution to the problems we have in this country lies in the hearts and minds of people. And we need to begin to think differently, that if there is a problem here, it's an indication that the solution lies here. Bill Gates, in that particular speech, made reference to a Nigerian that actually created a software or you call it what?
Budget. So it's
budget. Because one of the things that confuses us in this country is the budget. When the government comes to read the budget and everything, we don't even know what it is. And I believe that the motive for doing that is that we can have a generation of people who understands and can, by knowledge and information, hold government accountable. So somebody is thinking about how to add value to society. If everybody begins to think about how can I make this work, then we will begin to get innovative. And innovation will put you on an adventure. And if it is an adventure, it is because what you are trying to do, no one has done it before. Responsibility is the key here. That we have to take it upon ourselves, the young ones, that there's a problem here and we can actually solve it.
Yeah. There's a problem here and we can actually solve it. Let's go on a short break and hear from our sponsors. We'll be back soon.
There are cooking oils and there are cooking oils, Of course. There are those that foam like soap when you put them on fire. And there are those that go to sleep after a few days. There are even those with funny odors that make neighbors wonder what's happening in your kitchen.
I beg, don't kill me, oh.
But then again, there is Grand Pure Soya Oil, made from pure soya seed. Grand Pure Soya Oil is cholesterol-free, which makes it ideal for the heart and health conscious. It neither foams nor fumes, neither does it congeal even at low temperature. Grand Pure Soya Oil is also endorsed by the Nigerian Heart Foundation as heart-friendly oil.
Let me go and get my own Grand Pure Soya Oil, Joe. Oil that doesn't smell or sleep.
Grand Pure Soya Oil, a heart-friendly oil you've always known.
Do you wish to keep fit and healthy? SoFit Sporting Consult offers an exciting and excellent lawn tennis, table tennis, and badminton coaching experience for kids, adults, amateurs, intermediaries, and professionals. You can also contact us for general sports supplies. We're located at ELM House Compound around Old Airport Junction here in Jos. You can reach us on 07032 859685 or 080-735-25160. You can also send us an email on sofitconsult@yahoo.com.
Are you constrained by work or have a busy schedule? The Mac Essence Limited is a full-service interior design company. Our expertise include a wide array of dedicated services, which include space planning, bespoke furniture design, designing and decoration of residential and commercial buildings, corporate offices, hospitals, hotels, and restaurants. In addition to our interior and construction services, the Mac Essence offers deliveries under its registered brand, the Messenger Deliveries. At the Messenger Deliveries, we offer all kinds of delivery services, from delivery of gifts to food, letters, and we can also do your weekend grocery shopping for those within just Metropolis. You can contact us on 081-4657-0177. Send us an email on themac@themacessenceng.com. You can check us out on Facebook on the Mac NIG.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this has been Answers with Dr. Weju, where we clarify critical life issues. In the first half of this episode, we were talking about the fact that our economy has been spiraling. Things are bad, and he that is down has only one direction to go up. We need to get out there, we need to create things, we need to innovate and do things that we never thought we could do before. Alright, while we're on the break, Bobby joined us. Bobby, glad to have you around.
Yeah, good evening everyone.
Great.
Glad to join the live conversation.
Okay. Alright. And the numbers with which you could reach us, they remain 01 44 56 9000. That's 01 44 56 9000. Please send in a WhatsApp text message and we will get back to you. You could also reach us on Facebook, Answers with Dr. Reju. Alright, let's get back to the episode. Matthew.
You know, while you were talking, it just reminded me of a quote during the seminar we had on entrepreneurial intensity. That Dr. Reju, gave us then, about a quote from G.K. Chesterton, which says that adventure actually is an inconvenience rightly considered, while inconvenience is only an adventure wrongly considered.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now,
the poems.
You talked about how inconveniencing things are right now. How do we rightly consider this inconvenience and then take a leap?
That's why we're saying that the mind of an adventurer, the mind of an entrepreneur works differently. Problems are seen as opportunities, and you see, if we can get this mindset out there to people, especially the young ones, this can actually be the beginning of the best part of the history of this country. This particular point where we're at right now, where things are really, really bad. Naira is about 331 to $1, to a pound. I mean, if you have 1,000 pounds now, you're already getting close to 500,000 naira. So this can actually be an opportunity for people, and for the entrepreneur, he goes to where people run away from, right? Because he can see that in the middle of all this, things are so bad, it can only get good. Even if I try anything now and I fail, it doesn't really change anything. So that guy is a dead man walking. He can dare anything. I always like to use the example of a football game. When it is 86 minutes, you are 1 goal down. It could go either way.
Yeah.
If you concede one more goal, it doesn't really change your situation. So most coaches, they remove the whole defenders and they put attackers. And you always see it when there's a last kick, exactly when it's 1-0, because you really see that you have a chance. You can still go away in this, from this game with a point. Even the goalkeeper comes out. They just leave their back. They put themselves in a vulnerable position. I mean, it can get worse. But there's an opportunity, right, where we can really still remedy this situation. So the principle there is that for every problem, 16.5% inflation, naira falling, people are accusing this government that there's even no economic policy and things like that. In the middle of all that, for me, and my prescription is that it creates an opportunity. There are better ways to doing whatever we are doing right now. And again, like I said last week, there are tons and tons of information out there. This is a time not to trivialize whatever thought that passes through your mind. That you can begin to sell something. You can just begin to go create something. And we live in a world of possibilities. So to live with an excuse today will be the easiest thing. Right? But adventurers are not looking for easy ways out. They are always being motivated by that, which is difficult but possible. It is difficult, but it's always possible. Regardless of how many times they fail, because they believe that something is right here, they keep trying. They keep trying. So there are people who think this way. That failure is always a possibility, but it's never the option. Failure is just a detour. It's never the destination. So every inconvenience that you see, interpret it correctly. It is just the wrapping paper of an adventure.
Wow. As you're talking, Dr. Reggie, I just remembered in the course of the week, I went into one of the departmental stores in Jos. And behold, I just saw they had this line of items, which were our regular agricultural products processed to do something else with them somehow. We had potato flour, we had plantain flour, we had all kinds, things that we never used to know could be done before. But, people are now taking these raw materials, doing something extra to them, putting them out there for, You see,
we can't make this point enough, especially in economic terms. This is a time to just go wild with ideas. In Nigeria, we go into business, we want to have a certainty it's going to work before we go. That's not adventure. There is no certainty. In fact, you are faced with serious opposition. In those days, we want to do business. There are these 7 steps, do a feasibility study. The adventurer does not have a feasibility study. Right? His confidence is not based on something that has been tried and tested. He wants to be the one that will be the basis for people's feasibility study in the future. The one that's blazing the trail. And that's where we are. If we don't do that, we will just keep shouting at our television. We will be complaining. And I have never seen anybody making any difference complaining. I remember when I think I've given that example on this program many times. When I got to my wit's end, lost my job few weeks to Christmas. I had to give my family good Christmas. My kids were young. They wouldn't understand that daddy just lost his job. My car became a tool. I turned into a cab. Right? And I live in a country where things are not that regulated. If I want to do that abroad, I need to first of all go and register. But if I put the car on the road and I'm just collecting passengers to Bukuru here, nobody will ask me. That in itself is an opportunity. It is an opportunity. There's always a way you can make that extra buck, to just get by.
All right, Dr. Reggie, I want to ask maybe 2 questions in one.
Okay, go ahead.
We've been looking at ourselves as a nation now. You have referred to Singapore before now. How that at the time they had more jobs, more opportunities than their citizens. And they had to even bring in people from outside. In promoting this culture of entrepreneurial drive, does the government really have a role? Can the government really be able to do it?
You spoke about government, right? What we are saying here is that government is failing. And the failure of government creates an opportunity. Right? Because really, again, look at it. Who is the government. It's the people. People who serve in these government positions are people. And then you made the wonderful example of Singapore. Singapore fits right into the description of what we are really talking about. Singapore became the Singapore of the day because they declared, independence from Malaysia or and they just, okay, we just have to survive, and we don't have anything. We have to survive. We just have to. They didn't have an army. They didn't have anything. It was a nation that was born as a little baby. And Singapore had not one single natural resource. Not one. Right? But because of that, they have to look within. Okay, what do we have? If you read the story, in that wonderful book, From Third World to First by Lee Kuan Yew, you realize that they had to now look at it. Okay, what is it that we have here that we need to begin to use? The guy first of all look at it. Okay, the first problem here is that people are corrupt, and impose serious sanctions on corruption. Today, they are number one in the whole indices of the most honest nation. Right? They are number one in ease of doing business. To register a business in Singapore, it takes minutes. They have the most effective airline today in the world. So it's always about when you are down to nothing, your best begins to come out. I really wish that this difficult situation that we find ourselves becomes an opportunity.
What practical measures can be put in place, either as a nation or as maybe a family structure, to promote entrepreneurial drives?
Your question is still leading me to, is still trying to look for a conducive environment, right? But entrepreneurs create their own environment. Yes. It's not that they are waiting for the environment. Remember the quote from G.K. Chesterton: inconvenience rightly considered. For 50 years, we have looked for what government needs to do. Now, the government, they might not have owned up to this, but they are their wit's end.
Yes.
Right? They are their wit's end. That's why they've allowed our naira to just float on the sea. You're floating, wherever you arrive at. So they are their wit's end. But that I am challenging, especially the youths of today, to see that as an opportunity. Every little thing that you can do today, start from there. Capital is nowhere. Help is nowhere. If the person you think might help you also needs help. This is a time people have done seminars on thinking outside the box. Today I'm saying think inside it, think outside it, think on the side, think everywhere. Right? This is not time where you just go and listen to one long seminar. I am saying that this is a seminar for you free of charge. Right? It just costing you your battery or maybe your PhD and that. The next thought that comes to your mind, you want to believe it. You want to believe it. I can do that. And again, we live in a world where information is just at our fingertips. We're trying to veer into rearing goats and everything, and we just went online. We Googled it. Goat herding. The information, we were just bombarded with it to the minutest detail, right? To what they eat, how best to raise them, So this is a world, Ejiro, where we will never have an excuse. This is not a time to wait for somebody to come and do something for you to make it happen. This is a time for you to make something happen for yourself. You know how to sing? Commit to skill acquisition. Develop yourself. Develop yourself. Look for how you can get trained and get more skillful in it. Because the adventurer is not just going in, he wants to make himself so good. There's no amount of time and energy and resources that you commit to developing yourself, to becoming proficient in that which you do today, that's going to be a waste. This economic downturn creates big opportunities.
This has been an awesome session. Dr. Roger, thank you.
Thank you, Obi.
Thank you for finding time to give us these wonderful, wonderful philosophies and talk. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bobby, for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Obi.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Obi.
And thank you, Ejiro.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Dan, on the keys. Yeah. In the meantime, please communicate with us using 081 44 56 9000. 081 44 56 9000.